As usual, every Monday morning, the first segment comes with issues on the aviation sector. Of course, for those travelers to get, some tidbit on what they need to know whenever they are traveling. They need to take a look at the cockpit. They need to take a look at the, what do you call it now, the passenger seats, if the beds are okay. I know that our own very super presenter Ikaro Ata once traveled in one of the airlines, I will not mention the name here, discovered so many issues in the cabin where the seats are bad, the belts are terrible. He even could not be able to fasten the seat belt. These are issues that the aviation sector should take a closer look at and ensure that it is addressed. Well, with me on the studio this morning is, of course, your regular aviation freak, Mr. Godwin Ike, a man who has gone far and wide on on aviation in virtually every part of this world. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Joe.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I know you've been in some part of Asia, UK, some part of Europe and America.
Oh, definitely. With all due humility, I've been around the world.
Okay, now,
my dear viewers, please welcome to the program.
Now, quickly, let's take a look at what we started last week, which is Shear, the greatest nightmare of pilots. But I would like to know part two, yeah, Shear part 2. What is the difference between Shear and clear air turbulence? We talked about that about 2 weeks ago. Clear air turbulence.
All right. In the simplest language, Shear describes any change of speed and direction of wind. For instance, if wind is flowing south-north, and suddenly the speed at which it was flowing changes, either reducing or increasing, and then change direction suddenly without any prediction by anyone.
You mean prediction by NIMET? Prediction by...
Nobody can predict it. It's only when you set up some monitoring instrument, such as the one I told you last week, like the low-level wind shear avoidance system. Double L, I call it double L WAS. The acronym is LLWAS, low-level wind shear avoidance system. It's when you have this kind of equipment in place, especially not too far away from the airport on the approach path of aircraft to runways and along the runways, then they can detect onset of, especially the most dangerous of them, microburst. So wind shear on its own is a generic word, generally describing change of speed and direction of wind. But you have specific ones like the microburst that we're going to look at again today before we proceed, so that to refresh the memory of our viewers, so that they can follow the rest of the information. Answering your question, yes. Answering your question, you want to know the difference now between wind shear and clear air turbulence. Now, for clear air turbulence, you're dealing with separate winds coming from different directions at different speeds meeting. Then when they meet, they create a chaotic situation, create undulations, and these things you can't see them with your naked eyes. They are there. You don't even see them the way you see the cloud in the air until an airplane gets into them and it begins to throw that airplane up and down, sideways, and then give a lot of discomfort to passengers. So there again, you need to also let viewers understand the difference between tornado and microburst. Now, for tornado, it moves horizontally at great dangerous speed, clearing everything on its path. If it meets a building, it carries it away and throws it up, aside and continues. It meets cars parked, it rolls them out of the way, moving horizontally. But for microburst, it comes at great speed vertically down.
But tornado
Moves horizontally.
Now, can it also affect aircraft?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. You don't dare as a pilot fly when tornado is on its way. Of course, that one is usually very predictable, and you can see the way it's going, and you can predict what direction it will go. From the speed, you can predict what time it will arrive from point A to point B. No pilot dares get in, because whether it comes to you at a headwind, or it comes to you as a tailwind, whichever way,
It's disastrous.
you are doomed. It throws you out of the way. It's too powerful to engage it. You can't engage tornado, in flight. No way, you can't.
But how can that be remedied if an aircraft is already flying?
Those that are concerned with weather will always give information about where is developing, especially at the high sea, which direction is likely to head, and what the speed is. And the business of pilots, wherever you're going, is to keep away from that path. And if you must pass through that path to go to your destination, then the safest thing is for you to land at the nearest airport before that point, and wait until it sweeps past.
And in case the person is unfortunate and there's no airport where the person can do an emergency landing.
Flight plans are usually done in ways that pilots know at all points, where on the left, on the right, behind you, ahead of you, where airports are available. I mean, if you're making a journey of about 6 hours and you put in 2 hours and you find out that tornado is sweeping through and it's on the path that you're supposed to go through, for goodness sake, another 2 hours behind you, or 2 hours to the left or the right, you'll find an airport.
Right. Is flying not interesting?
Yeah,
it's,
very
it's really interesting.
Yes.
But with what is ahead of them at times, especially when they don't know, that can really cause terrible injury. And we saw that flight from France to China that got about 26 persons injured due to turbulence. But now quickly, what let's have for today?
If you give us, so that I refresh the memory of our viewers, give us a microburst 2 photograph. Let them just have a memory refresh before we go to clip 5, where we stopped the last time. That is not the photo, but there you go. This is an example of microburst. But I'm looking at microburst 1. Sorry, microburst 1. Let me have that photograph of microburst 1. Yeah, that's correct. Here we go. My dear viewers, take a look at that photograph. That is look at the left part of the photograph and see an airplane that has already deployed its flaps, coming down nicely, heading to touchdown. And take a look at the strong wind that has come down vertically and spread out in what is known as three-dimensional movement, vertical and 2 outflows, one behind and one in front. This poor pilot was not informed that this is going on, and innocently the outflow facing him gives him a headwind. Tip up suddenly the nose of his aircraft, increases his airspeed, and this man has set his speeds maybe at 150 knots with all flaps deployed, to touch down, nicely. And because he didn't occur to him that he was up against a microburst. He quickly, reduces his power to slow the aircraft down in order to land safely. And then suddenly, there is a vertical push. He leaves the point of headwind and gets to the middle of the vertical push. And he finds that his aircraft is sinking faster than should. He falls below his glide slope, and risks touching down before the threshold of the runway. And he's struggling to put back power to get back on the slope. And then his engine takes him 6 seconds to respond to the request for
Which
power.
is like 6 years.
6 light years, too long to help him. And then he crosses the vertical path and look at the other outflow, to the right. The outflow to the right now gives him the tailwind, which is the final nail on the coffin. It pushes the aircraft out of the way and the crash takes place. 99% of the time, that's how microbus causes crashes close to the airports and kill people. Now, having said that, go to clip 5 quickly. Let's run through our clips and see how much we're going to do today. Now that I have refreshed the memory of my viewers about microburst and its attendant wind shear. Remember, wind shear is generic.
Sure,
microburst is specific as one of those that create the wind shear. Now, here are weather situations where wind shear can be observed. A, when the temperature difference across the front is about 5 degrees, which is 9 degrees Fahrenheit, or more, while the front is moving at 30 knots or faster. Significant when wind shear is usually observed, as fronts are 3-dimensional in nature. Frontal wind shear can be observed at any altitude between surface and the tropopause, and therefore seen both horizontally and vertically. Due to their greater duration, vertical wind shear above warm fronts is more an aviation concern than the near and behind cold fronts. Because there's no time, Joe, I think if we get to part 3 of this, if we don't finish today, I'll be able to explain some of these things more to our viewers.
Yeah, but from what you have said here, the horizontal and vertical, tell us how that works in a very simple...
No, in a simple language,
yes.
sometimes
you can come. Go on.
Yeah, sometimes you have a situation where as it's coming down, you need to move up or come down in order to, otherwise sometimes again, you need to go, laterally, that is horizontally away, which is simply saying to you, whichever way it's going, you can, at the level you are, notice and then be able to maneuver your plane.
At that point that the pilot is maneuvering the plane,
yes,
what duty does the pilot owes
the passengers? No, an announcement to, if you are loitering along the aisle, you are told to go and take your seat, and of course put on your seat belt, because it may get so violent that it will haul you out of your seat and hurt you if you are not well belted, and strapped down on your seat. Sometimes people get tired of sitting, especially on long flights, and they want to, loiter along the aisle and chat with their friends that they met in the aircraft and stuff like that. But when it's happening, an announcement is made, and of course the warning button is put to announce to passengers, fasten your seat belt. And then, of course, air hosts and
then when those information, fail to come at the right time, and of course, passengers sustain injury, can they push for compensation? Can they claim damages?
Definitely. We'll come to that when we will deal with more of Bill of Rights. That's where you're going. And it's not what we are dealing with today. But have that in mind. When we're dealing with Bill of Rights, you ask me this question again, and I'll tell you more about the rights of passengers and the rights of the airlines. Clip 6, please.
Here we go.
Yeah. We're continuing with where and when wind shear occur, and B, wind shear associated with upper level jet streams is known as clear air turbulence, CAT. You see that? It's a form of wind shear, but wind shear is generic, while the clear air turbulence is one of the specific ones, okay? This is caused by vertical and horizontal wind shear connected to the wind gradient at the edge of the jet streams. C, when a night low-level jet forms overnight above the Earth's surface ahead of a cold front, significant low-level vertical wind shear can develop near the lower portion of the low-level jet. This is known as non-convective wind shear, since it is not due to nearby thunderstorms. When you say non-convective, that is to say it has nothing to do with electricity. It's usually not due to thunderstorms. The thunderstorms generate electricity and stuff like that. So, clip 7, please. Clip 7. Let's run. Clip 7. We're still continuing with where and when wind shear can occur. Now, D. Excuse me. When winds blow over a mountain, vertical shear is observed on the lee side. You know what we mean by lee side? The side that is protected from wind. That's what we mean by lee side of the mountain. All right? So
just like if the wind is coming from the nose, the tail can be
that's
the lee side.
Lee side. That's
Yes.
correct. I'm glad you are following, and I hope my viewers are also following. If the flow is strong enough, turbulent eddies known as rotors associated with lee waves may form, which are dangerous to ascending or descending aircraft. E. When on a clear and calm night, a radiation inversion is formed near the ground. Remember, we are dealing with where these things can occur. So these are conditions. A radiation inversion is formed near the ground. The friction does not affect wind above the top of the inversion layer. The change in the wind can be 90 degrees in direction and 40 knots in speed. Density differences can cause additional problems to aviation. Clip 8, while I explain this issue of density.
The density differences.
Density.
Yes,
Let me tell you about it.
It's important. We'll look at that.
Airplanes perform better when the wind is dense. That's when the winds, that's when the wind will give you the required pressure. Remember, even though somewhere here we have pieces of place known as elevators,
Yes.
it's a misnomer. They don't elevate the aircraft. All they do is change the pitch of the aircraft, pitch down, pitch up. All elevations take place on the wings of the aircraft. All right? That's where elevation takes place. Now, if wind is dense, it's easier. It's even short. It gets the aircraft, as it's running on the runway to take off, it gives it a shorter time to take off. But if you have light wind, then the pressure on the wings won't be enough. And so you need longer distance of the runway to grab enough air pressure for a takeoff to take place. In the same way, as aircraft is tearing away in the air, once density of air reduces, you experience a drop.
Density of air from
flight.
the aircraft.
No. Outside, in the
atmosphere.
In the atmosphere, yeah. So it's dangerous to have sudden change of density, while an aircraft is on. That's why sometimes suddenly you notice an aircraft drops vertically for a few meters, and everybody
for no cause of the pilot.
No, yes, for no cause of the pilot. And then everybody is screaming, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. That's when we remember Jesus and remember God. Even people who didn't pray that morning, everybody will be screaming, Jesus, Jesus. I don't know why this came on
Okay,
automatically.
now
So,
let's move to the next clip.
Yeah,
quickly.
clip 7, please. Clip 7, please. Let's run.
To the next clip.
Yeah, clip 7. Right. So this we're continuing. When winds blow over a mountain, vertical shear is observed on the lee side.
We have gone past this. We have gone past this.
Yes,
Clip 8.
Clip 8, please. Clip 8. Quickly, clip 8. Very well. We're still continuing with where wind shear can occur. That's F. When an outflow boundary forms due to a shallow layer of rain-cooled air spreading out near ground level from the parent thunderstorm, downbursts. That's the photo to your left. All right, that schematic diagram to your left is what is describing the downburst. Okay, yeah. Both speed of the three-dimensional boundary. The stronger the outflow boundary is, the stronger the resultant vertical wind shear will become. Now, I explained that to you very quickly, Joe. You can see the downburst on the picture on the left, hitting the ground, and then spreading out in that three-dimensional form that I have always told you. You have the left outflow, the right outflow, and the vertical one. Take a look at the schematic diagram to your right and see what it does to the aircraft. That's an aircraft approaching, and the outflow to the left is giving it a headwind and an increase in speed, and unsuspecting pilot quickly reduces his power, thinking that his plane is going too fast for the landing. And then look at that same aircraft at the middle. It has transited from the headwind to the middle, and he gets a vertical push that makes the aircraft sink a little more, heading to the terrain faster than required. Just as the pilot is struggling to, hey, what's this? What's going on? It transits from that middle to the outflow to the right that is a tailwind. See what it does to the aircraft. Can you see that aircraft crashing?
Sure.
It gives it a hard and nasty push, and the aircraft loses control and hits nose down, and of course the rest is history.
But in all of this, that is not that is in all of this.
Clip 9, please.
That is not to scare away passengers from flying.
Well, it's important that our managers of our aviation sector, especially the Ministry of Aviation, Federal Ministry of Aviation, the FAN, NCAA, all the agencies that are concerned must do well to invest our money buying all the modern equipment that will enable pilots know that these things are there so that they can avoid them.
What kind of modern equipment?
I mean, I've just described one that has to do with wind shear, the low level wind shear avoidance system, LLWAS. The latest model.
We don't have it in Nigeria.
I don't know. I've told you guys, you journalists, get serious in this country. That when people, research fellows like us, get you information, your business is to go and investigate. That is value addition to this country. Stop sitting here asking questions and relaxing.
That's our business. Our business is to ask questions.
Yeah, after asking questions, go and find out whether this is existing.
Now, some of these things research fellows like you raise most time when you are on air, of course, educating Nigerians. It is also up to tell us that these things is in the country or it is not in the country. That is, also a guide. Some of these things you are saying.
Giving you standard.
Some of these things you are saying are not even known to men.
Very well. That's why.
So now that of
that's
course.
That's why you must love and respect research fellows like me.
Hold on. Now that you have raised those issues,
yes,
it is important to say that this instrument is important in the following ways. But we do not have it that way. You can
stop playing ostrich in the forest and wasting my time on there.
That's the point. Okay, let's go on. Let's go on.
9, please.
And that's the last clip. That's the last clip for this segment.
It's playing ostrich in the forest.
Quickly, clip 9.
Before I am the only one in the world.
Now,
with all
clip line. Our time is flying. Our time is flying. Now, we have 3 minutes.
Now listen to me.
3 minutes.
I don't care.
Okay.
Listen to me.
Yes.
Listen to me. I am the only one in the world. Nigeria has a lot, and Nigeria has got to have respect for what it has. I am the only non-pilot, non-aviator.
Maybe in Nigeria.
I'm talking about entire world.
Maybe in Nigeria.
Show me anyone else in the world.
Maybe in Nigeria.
Stop interrupting me, Joe.
We will research to
Joe,
find out.
stop interrupting me. I challenge anyone
find.
else in the world who is doing this to come on air and challenge me. What I'm saying is, Nigeria is blessed. Now, I am, prior to me, doling out this information, 100% of Nigerians were totally ignorant, except those that are in aviation, like pilots and stuff like that, about some of these issues I am raising. And I am simply sensitizing this country and asking journalists, when you get piece of information, go and find out if we have them in place. Don't wait until we experience a crash and you start telling grammar and shedding crocodile tears.
If you tell journalists to go and find out, you also need to lead them in the right direction.
All right, 9 please. Wind shear effect on aircraft flight. Thunderstorms create strong airflow known as microburst. Microburst is a 3-dimensional wind velocity just above ground level to an aircraft making its final approach for landing. This airflow initially causes a headwind that increases nose lift and airspeed. Okay? Which normally causes a pilot to reduce engine power if he is unaware he is up against wind shear. That is what the pilot does. He quickly reduces his power, not knowing that he shouldn't. As the aircraft passes into the region of the downdraft, that's the vertical push. That's the one you call the downdraft. The headwind disappears, thereby instantly reducing the aircraft's airspeed and increasing its sink rate. When the aircraft passes through the other side of the downdraft, the headwind becomes a tailwind, reducing lift generated by the wings and leaving the aircraft in a low power, low speed descent. Can you see the danger in it? This is the singular cause of crashes associated with wind shear.
Okay, now
10, please.
We have really.
We can do 10 very quickly. It's a short one.
There's no time for that. There's no time. I've been signaled by the producer. Sorry, next week we have another time, and of course we'll look at this in detail. But before we go quickly, you know, the discussion has been that it affects aircraft when it is, of course, prepared to land. Does it also affect it when it's about to take off or while
of course,
taking off?
Of course, it's the same thing. It's the same. You remember there was a time, was it Sosoliso or so, that was
Bellevue, Sosoliso,
leaving Abuja for Sokoto. You remember where the daughters of the former governor of Kogi State, Ibro, I think his name is Awudu, is that? You know, the owner of Ibro Hotel, his 2 daughters survived that crash. You remember that takeoff and sudden loss of altitude and loss of control, and then of course hitting the ground somewhere.
So that means it can happen even while taking off.
Take off. Those are the kind of things.
Okay, I must thank you for coming on the show this morning, viewers. That is where we will, end this discussion. And when we come back, it shall be time to discuss what the world is celebrating today, World Against Drug Abuse. Stay with us.